Yo, what's good? It's Mastermind MMA, and you're tuned into the Mastermind MMA podcast. This is episode 12, and there's a lot of shit going on. We're going to get right on into it. But first, on Me and the Homies podcast, Scrap Pack's own Jamari, Jake and Jamari from the East to the West, we had a very special guest, a pro fighter, our first pro fighter, Cassie Robb. She's the main training partner for UFC strawweight champion Thug Rose in DC voice, Thug Rose. So yeah, man, she gives us a lot of insight, told us a lot about the championship camp for the JJ fight, and a lot about her. She's really chill, man. She's dope. She's so down to earth, and she was really cool to talk to, and she's one of those chicks, man, and one of those fighters that her next fight up is a title eliminator. So when she wins this fight, she's going to be fighting for King of the Cage title, and she already has a win over the champion. So once she gets that, man, she's an atomweight. So once the UFC brings in that division, it's only a matter of time before she's like in the UFC, like making waves and shit. So be on the lookout for her. She's really dope. So yeah, man, go check that out if you haven't. It's called the Cassie Robb episode, but that's episode 2 of Me and the Homies podcast. So go check that out. And right on into it all, man. So much shit changed up, and before all of that, since it's another podcast episode, we got a blunt lit up, our blunt rolled, ready to be lit up. Singing for no reason, cause we about to smoke. Yeah. So, man. So I'm gonna be doing a Stevens Choi post fight analysis with the homie Dan MMA from the Heartland. So that we should be doing that. We're scheduled to do that today, so be on the lookout for that. What I want to start off with, since I'm going to be saving my Stevens Choi thoughts for that video, I want to start off with fucking Whittaker being injured, and now it's Rockhold Romero for the interim middleweight title. I think that's that's pretty fair for title fight. That was a rewind, because scratch that shit. I don't want to start with that. What I want to start with is Dana White stripping Conor and making promoting Tony and making Tony versus Khabib for 223 in my hometown of Brooklyn, New York. Let's go. At the Barclays Center, that I'm going to get tickets for as soon as they're available. Like, I'm not even front bed. I'm trying to get them early, and I'm trying to get them cage side. If I could get by the media, like, kind of that media, I wouldn't be. Hold up. Yeah, my bad. I had to take a call. But yeah, if it's like by media row, like, or like, that kind of first tier of seating, like those first like 10 rows, I wouldn't be mad. But ideally, man, I'd want to get early and get cage side. I don't know how much it would be. I remember I was shopping around. I was looking at when they're doing Weidman Gaslam, and like ringside seats were like close, like 400 to 500. So that's really not that bad. And I'm guessing for this it'd be more. So I mean, I'll ideally I would want like cage side seats, like especially like for this fight, like that'd be dope. Or whatever seat would be the best vantage point, you know what I mean? Like I want like the best vantage point seats. So I'm definitely copping tickets when they release this shit. So I'm fucking pumped on it. But the thing is, it's like this whole thing with just stripping belts and stuff. It's just making it. It's making it boxing, man. The way the whole boxing game is set up, bro. It's like with all this money and all the politics, it's like maybe before the UFC just wasn't big enough to go through the problems boxing was already facing. Because when you look at it, boxing was like around for so much longer, and then it had in all those revenue streams way earlier, and it was more mainstream way before, so that's more opportunity. And when you look at the historical big fights that were made, and just the whole, with like the whole judges and the way the whole game is set up, it's like, damn, homie, like it's kind of fucked. Because like, yeah, people winning belts, stripping belts, and then, you know, we had Canelo Triple G like recently, but we're supposed to get that like last year, like a few years ago. And Canelo had that belt, and he gave up that belt so he wouldn't have to fight Triple G. Not that so he wouldn't have to fight it, but that was the aesthetics. When you look at it, it's really like, you could really relate that to Conor Tony. It's like, if Tony emerges victorious out of Khabib and they end up fighting like in September, that'll be like how Canelo had the belt, vacated it, and then like came back and then like challenged for it. So, not even, because it's, you know, it's a close parallel, but I don't know, man. There's just so much politics, and plus it's one organization. At least in boxing, there's different promotions. When you're having essentially multiple belts in the same division within the same promotion and organization, it's like, damn, what are you doing? Because you're like, this guy's the best, but this guy's the best when the guy who's the best isn't around, you know. And it's like, damn, like how far are you gonna ride that out? Because when you look at the seats of succession, like, oh, the number 3 ranked guy is only 2 people removed from the champion. So, you know, say Khabib wins and he's hurt, we'll give him, like, all right, no, fuck all that. When Max Holloway fought Anthony Pettis, that shit was the interim title. So we've seen this shit happen before, man. Like, because Conor was champ, Jose was the interim champ. And then they stripped Conor, promoted Jose, and then made Matt, and then Max won the interim belt. So, turning more into boxing, man. I hope we don't face this problem. I feel like right before the UFC sold, it was just operating like a fucking Ferrari when it came to the sport. And what I mean by that is like, my bad, blew the smoke. I blew it over the pop filter. Anyway, it was just like clockwork, man. The way they were running so smooth, and the way they had the orders and defending. You knew that UFC belt, whoever had that person earned that way up and earned to keep their spot. They earned their keep. And when you look at something like that, it's like, damn. When you look at how valued the belt was 2 years ago, like 2015, to the situation and like all the divisions that are kind of wrecked. When you look at how many divisions don't have a linear champ, it's like you have. Let's just fucking run through it right now. Bantamweight, you're straight. Featherweight, you're fucked because Conor was the linear champ. Lightweight, you're fucked because Conor was the middleweight linear champ. Not middleweight, the linear champ. Then you go up to welterweight. D-Wood is pretty straight, but GSP had the linear belt. You look at middleweight, GSP has the linear belt, but Whittaker had the belt that he earned. but then he's hurt. So now you have Rockhold Romero who just lost to Whittaker, fighting for the interim belt again. Then you go up to light heavyweight, linear champion John Jones, not there. And then you got DC. And then you go up to heavyweight, you got Miocic, his belt straight. So look at that, man. And as I was going through it and looking at the pattern, it's like the biggest stars of the promotions are the ones holding up the divisions and fucking up the lineage of the belts. John Jones. Not like, unintentionally. GSP. Conor McGregor. And it's multiple divisions with Conor and GSP. So when you look at how if WME IMG is going down the entertainment route, cool. But also be sure to have your checkbook ready to satisfy going down that entertainment route. When Marvel hires Robert Downey Jr. to play Iron Man, and it's a massive success, and it spawns this whole Marvel Cinematic Universe, and he's demanding his demands, which essentially made him the highest paid man in Hollywood at a point. And he's the guy back in your franchise, and he's at a crux of your franchise. You pay the man. You gave him that power. Sorry, ego's not going to come into play at this point. As the person with the purse, it can't. You have to be ready to write those checks, especially when you had the people be as essential into building you into what you are. Conor McGregor made history, like it or not, with that Mayweather shit. Granted, he hasn't defended a belt, but he gave the UFC mad fucking clout. He gave the UFC mad fucking clout by having a big star of theirs fight boxing's biggest at this time. GSP, man, he's been carrying the promotions for a while. He was like that dude. You know what I mean? So if you're gonna oh, excuse me, fuck. If you're gonna have them do the work, pay them. And I get if they're being totally fucking unreasonable, but you can't just keep doing this shit. Can't just be having champions, stripping them like it's nothing, and not making it like it's no fucking big deal. How, Sway? Because it's then what are they working up to, man? So it's is really being champion the fighters and the history that was put into the belt, or is being champion having your disclosed purse being a certain amount and having a gold belt wrapped around you? I thought it was more about what the gold belt represented and who held that title. I thought it was about the legacy. It was about the prestige. Now they're just kind of riding off of branding, because the UFC belt was so prestigious and branded so strongly. Now they're kind of almost just riding off of that brand to sell shit. And when you look at it, when you're operating more like that business, you can be. But the thing is, if you're going to be doing that, then do it in a way where you can use those big moments to put your stars on display. Example, UFC fucked up by not putting an MMA card that night. UFC fucked up. Because let me tell you something. I was waiting at that. When I watched the Mayweather-McGregor fights, I was at a place up nearby my other house. And then, I watched it with Chris Weidman. That's the night I met Weidman and shit like that. And at that place, I got there early. For a while, they weren't even playing the boxing undercard. They had like all the TVs, they had the pay-per-view tiered up, and they just had it ready waiting on loop for fucking hours. So it's like if you ran a UFC event attached, keep it within the pay-per-view. You could have made it stacked with entertaining show-stopping fighters like the Tony Fergusons, the Yair Rodriguez's, the flashy fighters that will draw in those mainstream people. And you could have put them on display and have had them watch their shit. And you could have even put it in comparison, because like, all right, you could have this MMA card running and this boxing card running at the same time, the undercard. Which one's more entertaining? Most likely, it's going to be the MMA card. So it's like, you fucked up on that opportunity, because at your biggest point, where you could have brought over much more boxing fans and converted a lot of people and mainstream, you didn't take that opportunity. So granted, you looked at the lump sum, but you didn't think about what's going to happen in the long term. So it's almost like winning the lottery, but like instead of taking the full like amount payout, like, you know, you could take like over lifetime payments, and if you won like 700 million, like say you'd get like after taxes and shit like that, you get like 300 million of it. But if you could get a large lump sum payout now of just having like 150 like just like flat in your bank. So that's what WMEIMG did with that move. They're like, you know what, we're just gonna get that 150 straight, just that fat lump sum. And I'm not saying it's that amount, but I'm just like saying it for this metaphor. So it's like, damn, you didn't invest in the sport at a big moment. You didn't capitalize on an opportunity. You see, McGregor got those fans. The UFC didn't. Whereas, you damn right, maybe McGregor's next pay-per-view buy rate will be something fucking crazy. But you could have up mad other fighters' clout. Like you could have put on a display, because the UFC has amazing matchmakers. You could have put on a display of different styles and different matches. Imagine a fucking Justin Gaethje Eddie Alvarez matchup to show you the brawls. And then maybe like a different matchup to show you technical shit. And then like a Tim Elliott Louis Smoka to show you the crazy jiu-jitsu scrambles. And then like, you know, a Francis Ngannou to show you the crazy knockout monster. You have all the different elements and you didn't present it to the people. So it's like you have it, but people don't know you have it. And does it really matter if you have it and people don't know you have it? It's like the tree falling in the middle of the woods. It doesn't make a noise. And yeah, granted, the UFC isn't just like this obsolete thing, but if you're trying to grow it to the point where you just have this massive opportunity to grow it and you don't capitalize on it, and you really kind of put all your eggs in the McGregor basket, think about it. Floyd Mayweather put his guy, Gervonta Davis, on the fight card and got him mad exposure. He was on the Breakfast Club like this morning talking about how he was on the Mayweather McGregor card and all that, like promoting his next fight. That validated him enough to fucking be on that caliber of a media run. The UFC's not really doing that, bro. And like, granted, yeah, you had like Bisping go up there, and you had like Weidman and Rumble a few like back in the day, and John Jones, and I think that's about it. And that's scattered throughout the fucking years. So it's like, I mean, when it comes to the business aspect, it's like, You guys are fucking up. Anyway, man, enough of that. I'm off of all that now. I'm glad I got that out. Now on to fucking Whittaker Rockhold, bro. I mean, damn. Whittaker Rockhold being out, and now we're with young Yoelito and fucking Luke Rockhold. What do I hope happens, man? You know, I'm not even saying like what I hope happens yet. I'm gonna say what I think, because you got a dangerous. It's dangerous for Luke because Yoel could catch anyone at any given moment, and Luke isn't the most careful guy. Luke, but the thing is, Yoel is very dangerous, and Luke knows that. So Luke is definitely knows to be more on his guard. But the thing is, how good is Luke's being on his guard? Like his defensive core being on his guard anyway, because he's got rocked a lot in his past few fights, and we really haven't seen that Luke Rockhold of old, and we haven't seen him in much of a clean, dominant performance. And like we haven't had a showcase of a fight for Luke in a while. But this has the potential to be one. This has the potential to be Luke's moment where he's like, where he could wow people and he'll be that guy, like, oh shit, like Luke Rockhold's back. But if he doesn't, I mean, on the flip side of things, it could be a moment where you kind of flash back to Madison Square Garden, where, you know, where Yoel Romero was coming off a steroid, like that steroid-tainted supplement suspension, and then he fought Chris. But the thing is, Chris got the fight, had to work the fight last minute because of, you know, just because of contract negotiations. So it kind of, like, the aesthetics of it seemed like he just accepted the fight to have a fight. You know, it's still a good fight. It's still, don't get it twisted. It's still a fight people wanted to see in high caliber at the time. But it was like, oh, all right. So, like, you know, Chris is fighting Yoel, and it's kind of his moment at Madison Square Garden. And, you know, it's like kind of going back and forth, and then just boom, he knocks him out in spectacular fashion. And then it's like, and then he's like, I love you, boy. I see you soon. And you just had that moment, and it was like, oh shit. Like, this guy wasn't even speaking English before, and he's just like threatening the guy with love. Like, fuck. And, you know, that really cut like a pretty dope promo to set him up with the champ. But the thing is, if you get that outcome, it has to be really spectacular fashion, and I feel like it would have to be like a war, and then he gets the knockout. Like, he has to kind of show he's that better fighter, and then put a stamp on it in order to warrant a rematch with Whittaker. But thing is, if he wins it, it automatically guarantees that. So, I mean, it's almost like you could draw out a parallel to Chris's moment. You know what I mean? Like, all right, you know, Chris, it's Madison Square Garden. We'll get you a good fight. It's like, all right, Luke, you're supposed to get a belt. We'll have a belt on the line and get you a good fight. Just so happens to be against the same guy. So Yoel can redeem himself and have a good moment. Or Luke could here's the three different ways it could go. Luke could have a spectacular showing. Yoel could catch him and knock him out. And then the third thing is, it's kind of just like a regular, almost kind of disappointing fight where Luke doesn't look that great, Yoel doesn't look that great, and it's a little sloppy, but not bad. Like, almost like Yoel versus Jacare. So we might see something like that. But you never know, because it's like, what Luke Rockhold are we getting? Like, we just don't know that yet. Although he's come back and he's had a fight, we haven't seen those gains he's supposed to have been making. We haven't been seeing much progression. We saw him hit the top, and then a slip up, you could call it, which led to a decline. But when he fought David Branch, he could have kind of validated more the narrative that he overlooked Bisping. But when he looked the way he looked in that Branch fight, that kind of validated more, as much as I hate to say it, more of Bisping's skill set. Because it's like he saw a hole in Luke's game and capitalized on it, the same way David Branch almost did. So you got to give credit to the fighter when they have the capability and ability to see that, assess it, analyze it, and then apply it, and then come out victorious because of it. So Luke might just have some holes in his games that could be exploited fairly easily if you're a certain caliber. So we'll see, man. We shall see. Time to light up blunt number dose. Alright, so next thing I wanted to talk about was, I don't know. We'll see. I'm scrolling through some topics, see what I want to talk about next. Because there was a few things I wanted to talk about, but fucking Michael Bisping, he turned down the fight with Vitor Belfort. And here's my thoughts on it, man. All biases put aside, looking at it objectively, when Bisping won the belt, what did he suggest? I'd like to avenge my loss. Dana, I'd like to avenge my loss to that cheating fucking bum Vitor Belfort or Dan Henderson. And that sounded more like Dan Hardy, but still, forgive me, I'll work on it. But he was talking like he's on this revenge tour, looking for revenge. And he's like, oh, I just got Luke. I don't want Jacare. Let me get Hendo or fucking Vitor. Got Hendo, lost that fight, got that decision. Then after that, I want Vitor or GSP. He thought he could beat GSP. He thought he could catch GSP lacking. Guess what, bitch? You ain't catching GSP lacking, because GSP only comes back when he's ready. So GSP came back, got beat Bisping, and then now all of a sudden, Bisping doesn't want any more revenge, and he doesn't want that drama, and he doesn't want that bad blood, and he doesn't want that stress going into his last fight. My man Michael Bisping, hold tight, my man, to quote Big Shaq, my brother, you fucking bloke, innit? What the fuck are you doing? You're not keeping that same energy. What happened to that same energy you had your whole career? When talking all this shit to all these people all this time, and all of a sudden you're cool on all that. Word. That's how it is, Bisping. You don't want drama, you don't want smoke like that anymore. After you're smoking that shit like a motherfucking stogie all day. Nah, man. You got to keep that. You go out on your shield on revenge, man. Like, it's in London. All you got to do is live to make it to the end, and you're going to win the decision regardless. Risk it. That's what I say. And Bisping always takes risks. So it's like, all right, man. Let's see who he picks for his last fight, and then I'll make a decision. But I'm still holding it against him for not keeping that same energy in multiple facets, because what happened to this whole revenge tour. And then the thing about Bisping is he knows the knocks that people are going to say about him. So like a politician, he addresses it before they address it, and he gives his take on it. Like after he beat Luke, he was like, "Oh, I'll be open for a trilogy, or I'll be open to fight Jacare." Then he turned it to this revenge tour. And then now that aspect didn't work out for him. Then now he's like, "Oh, I just want a good fight with a good, respectable person." But like, yeah, man, like, I don't know, man. Just keep that same energy, go out your same way. On to the next one. Next thing I want to talk about. So, I mean, like, Dana White, he came out on a Boston radio show, and he announced that Tony Ferguson and Khabib are going to be fighting in Brooklyn. So he also said the way you stop Conor from holding up a division is you take the belt. Doesn't do squat dick, my guy. Let me tell you why. Because if you take the belt, all you're doing is giving McGregor all the ammunition to call top tier championship caliber fighters beneath him. Because if you don't give them a chance to test their skill set out against each other and come out and see who's the better man, then he kind of has this allure like he never lost the belt in the octagon. No one beat him for the belt. Oh, he could say, "Oh, that cheap toy belt, that paper championship." He could talk that shit because you're given that opportunity to. It's not how you stop him from holding up a division. What you stop him from holding up a division is you say you're not hurt, you're medically cleared to fight. You got to put in time frames in your contract if it's not injured, if you're dealing with this caliber. You know, we need you to fight this many times in this year. Starting off health permitting in this quarter. And then like the first quarter, the third quarter, and then the end of the fourth quarter. And then 3 fights for the year. Like 6 fight, 2-year contract, whatever. Done, bro. Give him his money, and then he will come through and then do the shit. I don't know why you're like, "Oh, well, he doesn't want to come back till quarter, like early quarter 4, late quarter 3. So what we're gonna do is just take the belt away from him." Tell you, Tony is the real guy. The winner of this is gonna be the champion, and then when McGregor comes back, he'll fight them. You know what they're doing? They're having a title eliminator fight with the illusion of it being a championship fight. And don't get it twisted. Khabib versus Tony is and deserves to be a linear title fight. It's with 2 world-class championship fighters. But the fucked up thing is, they're basically making it whoever wins this gets the Conor McGregor fight. When it was August, they were saying McGregor's going to come back and fight in December. Now you're saying he's coming back and fight in September? Like a whole year off after your boxing match? My God, that can't roll. You gotta kind of pull the reins in a little bit. How do you pull the reins in? You gotta throw a little cash at it. Sorry, my guy, that's how it goes. That's the power that he earned and you gave him. So the fact that you're making this a fancy title eliminator fight, I'm tight at it. The other thing is, I want to get tickets. I want this fight to happen. Just hope it happens, man. I can't. Thing about it is, like, this matchup, can't count on it too much. But I kind of hope that this is the 214, meaning that we actually see it. What I'm saying about that is referring to fucking John Jones and Daniel Cormier. Yeah, man. So, I mean, Dana, it's just like, bruh, you're throwing titles at title eliminator fights. That's all you're doing. All Luke Rockhold versus Yoel Romero is a title eliminator fight. And as good of a fight as it is a championship title fight caliber, it's just not what it is, because that's not how it's played out at the landscape of what's going on right now. Man, and it's just like, it's almost like this infection that's just spreading divisions, just like it's just like clogging everything up. And if you're looking at the UFC as one big system, with the divisions being individual little systems that run the whole thing, if the majority of your systems start getting clogged up, the big system, the UFC, you're gonna start having some problems. Not only that, you got competition with Bellator. Bellator, when it comes from the commentary aspect, they're more stacked than the UFC. Now, take more world-class fighters, put them over in Bellator, change up the presentation, evolve the presentation a little bit. You have a steep competitor on your fucking tails. You better watch their P's and Q's, man. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's gonna happen like overnight, but in a few years, man, it could happen. And the fucked up thing is, the thing that's pissing me off, money fights should be generating a shit ton of money. And if you're doing these super fights, I'm all for super fights, but make them count, make them reasonable. Make them against, like, have your top tier champions fight each other, your BJ Penn's, GSPs type shits. Have your TJ Dillashaws fight your Max Holloways. That's a super fight. Have your Dillashaws fight your Mighty Mouses. That's how you run this super fight shit, bro. If you're gonna clog up the divisions, you might as well make it pay. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, that's all I have to say for this. I feel like I've been on like kind of this subject for a while, like, because it kind of circled back to it. But I mean, it is what it is, because that's just, it's gonna come so prominently because it's just intertwined within all the storylines. What else we got, man? All right, we got blunt number 3 ready to be lit. So I'm gonna light this up and then start talking about UFC 220 and the upcoming fights. I'm gonna be doing a full-blown video, making my official picks and kind of pre-fight breakdowns. And what else I'm going to be doing is in this podcast, I'm going to be doing I'll call it a segment of when I go through the fights. It's going to be what could happen, like what should happen, but what very well could happen. So yeah, and you'll get what I mean when I start doing it. So let me light this up. All right, man. So let's talk about it's finally here. The baddest motherfucker in the world will be determined on Saturday night. Stipe Miocic. That's my guy. I rock with Stipe. I feel like, well, I don't feel like Stipe is very well on the precipice of being the greatest heavyweight of all time. You could already make that argument, but he's just like solidifying it at this point. Keep in mind that I feel like, in my personal opinion, Verdum is the greatest heavyweight of all time, but I'm not going to front when Stipe passes that. And I'm very well aware that Stipe could have already passed that. So, if he does this, man, that'd be pretty crazy. And then if he gets the Kane fight after it and he beats Kane, then it's just like he's like on that path of being the dominant champion the heavyweight division ever had. The John Joneses, the Anderson Silvas, the GSPs. If he does that, he cleared out the top tier of the division. And, when you look at his record, it's very impressive. The guys he's knocked out, the guys he's beat. He's very well battle tested. With Francis, we know Francis is good. We know he has crazy knockout power. We know he can catch you. We don't know how well-rounded his game is, but the thing is, a lot of people are saying, oh, Stipe needs to resort to his wrestling. Stipe and Stipe and Daniel need to be wrestling these fights. But Stipe is not a guy who wrestles. Stipe is a guy that's going to stand with you, and he's going to box. He's going to land crisp shots. He's going to move in and out of ranges. And he'll clinch if need be, but he's going to be standing with you. He's got good defensive jiu-jitsu, and if he ends up on top and, got like a stacked guard, it may very well be the end of the night for you. Look at Alistair Overeem. So, Stipe, only danger of Stipe that we know of is that if Francis can catch him. And the thing about Francis, he's good at catching you because you look at that shovel hook he threw at Overeem. He threw a lead shovel hook, and then he knocked him out fucking clean. And the way he set it up, he made you move away from his power hand, setting up with the jab. But little did you know that his lead hand is also a power hand. We found that out. So when you have power in both hands, it kind of removes pressure from you. Meaning you can't be a pressure fighter. You have to resort to being a defensive fighter, because with both their hands are the power hands, you really can't circle much unless you're outside of range, meaning you're trying to create distance, which means you're moving backwards most of the time. However you angle back, whichever angle left or right you take, you're still moving backwards. So What that also can do is present opportunities for Stipe to get a knockout of Ngannou, because Stipe is very good at moving back, countering, and knocking you out. Look at his Verdum fight. We know that Stipe could generate power, back it up, but we're also certain that Ngannou could do that as well. So it could almost be with whatever the random variable combination is of that night. It's like a toss-up, because there's so many endless possibilities. Stipe, there's so many different ways Stipe could knock him out. So many different ways Ngannou could knock him out. Think about it. Stipe could come in with a forward blitz in a combination, even like a 5-piece combo. He could get clipped. He could throw a 2-piece. Francis counters. He leans back, counter Francis, catches him. Or you never know if Francis could come forward, knock him out. Stipe could come forward, knock him out. It's like, it's wild. This could be a shit show in a very good way. Meaning that people could be hitting the deck like fucking pirates and sailors and shit. Like, coming back up, recovering. It could be potentially like Pat Barry. Shout out Pat Barry. Shout out the 303 fight camp. Shout out Thug Rose. Shout out Cassie Robb. It very well could be Trevor Whitman. It very well could be like Stipe getting dropped, Francis getting dropped, Stipe getting dropped. It very well could be fight of the year. So, what I think about that is what could happen, what should happen. Stipe should show that he's more well-rounded and either finish the fight via decision or by finish. What very well could happen, Francis could just knock him the fuck out in brutal fashion. He could show he's well-rounded for a round and then knock him out. And he could have a star-birthing performance, a star-making performance. That's what really could happen. You know, and now let's move on to DC Volkan Oezdemir. When you look at DC, he got knocked out like 6-7 months ago, if that. But the thing is, a real quick caveat. I feel like DC, after the Jones knockout, has went through what John Jones had to go through media-wise, and I'll explain. I feel like DC kind of put up this front of being this really, really family-friendly, PG guy, like your WWE style shit talker, and he still kind of has that element, but still. He just learned more to kind of get out more of his real personality out. And, you know, obviously, like, you know, you kind of see that in the signs of him, like, cursing more, and, you know, you can just hear it, his tone, his demeanor. He's just kind of keeping it real more. And I appreciate that, and I'm rocking with him for that. And, you know, I'm kind of hoping DC gets the win, because, you know, why not? I got nothing against the guy anymore. I hope he doesn't do it in DC fashion, or like Anderson Silva style, or even Kamaru Usman. Fuck that guy, by the way. Kamaru Usman, fuck that guy, by the way. Yes, I said it again. Versus Emil Mack. And I think Volkan, the thing is, DC, when he closes the ranges, when he changes range and he comes in, when he goes in the pocket in the clinch, Vulcan clipped Jimmy and Misha in clinch positions. So he knows how to generate power to hit you right behind the ear to make you drop. Although DC's very resilient, it's like, how much of a toll did that knockout take on his chin? And another thing about Vulcan is he's not dumb with his finishing abilities. He's smart. When he had Jimmy Manuel fucked up, the way he pushed him down to the canvas and finished him, that was like showing he knew to create space. He knew what to do. He had a high finishing IQ. And he's got his rounds in with a good team. He's got his rounds in with Rumble a lot, main training partner. And he's got Rumble at his best, because you got Rumble in the gym with no pressure, mentally calm, and mentally ready to go. And Anthony Johnson said, Vulcan ain't no pussy. He could handle shit. So I feel like we actually have a chance. Although people are overlooking it. Here, boom. I'll go right to it. What should happen? DC should win this fight via submission finish, maybe via knockout, via wrestling leg humping decision. DC could just pretty much come out in a singlet, headgear, and Asics wrestling shoes and hold him for 25 minutes and retain that belt. That's what could happen. And the three possibilities of that, which should happen, of him winning. What very well could happen is motherfucking Vs Oezdemir doing in no time. That is a very real possibility. We very well could see DC get knocked out and new Vulcan Oezdemir. And I'm not saying that. I'm saying that with as much objectivity as possible. It very well could be the case, because he's got that power and he's got that timing and he's got that precision where he knows where to hit you, and it's been quick. So I'll be making my official picks in a different video. But yeah, man, it's kind of a toss-up for both. Hold up. Yeah, my bad. I keep getting phone calls. Anyway, yeah, so as I was saying, it could go to either DC or Vulcan, or the Stipe or Francis. Now, what else I wanted to talk about? Douglas Lima versus Rory MacDonald. That's a fight that's coming up. That's a fight that's very, very interesting. Douglas Lima, man. Douglas has fights over very high-level guys, very dangerous guys, guys that could hang in the UFC. The thing is, Rory has fought the best of the best there is. He has a dominant win over the current champion of the division. The champion before that, he's went to war with multiple fucking times. You know, he's right there. You know, training partner for GSP. He's got so many wins over. He's beat Nate Diaz. You know, he's got so many wins over high-level guys. So, and he beat Paul Daly. Lima also beat Paul Daly. Rory MacDonald is extremely well-rounded. Douglas Lima is very well-rounded too, and he's very good in striking exchanges as well. But the thing is, Rory knows and can dictate whatever he wants the fight to go. If he wants to stand and exchange and feel that out, he can and he will do that. If he wants to take you to the ground and dominate, he has the ability to do that. I feel like he even if there's a chance where he's in trouble and he needs to kind of control the situation, he can do that. And keep in mind, TriStar and Firas Zahabi are big on controlling your opponent. Yeah, also point fighting. But Rory's not really about that point fighting life. He's like in there for blood. So I feel like Rory can get the victory. And I feel like Lima can get the victory as well. And if he gets the victory, it really puts a stamp and really kind of opens up more people's eyes and changes the perspective of Bellator when you have the guys there beating top tier guys from over here at the UFC. So that's really saying something, man. I feel like if it should be a fucking scrap. It should be a dangerous fight. Because even when Lima fought Larkin, that shit was like back and forth for a little bit, man. And when Paul Daly fought Larkin, that shit was dope. Yeah, bro. I feel like I definitely what should happen is I feel like Rory MacDonald should be able to get a good, impressive win, whether it's a submission or a knockout. What very well could happen is Lima catches Rory and he finishes him, or grinds out Rory for a decision. So yeah, man, that's another one that's kind of a toss up, but Rory should be the favorite in that. And then now you got Chael Rampage, man. What are we gonna see with Chael Rampage? I feel that Rampage, man, it was the funny shit when Rampage was on the MMA Hour and Ariel Helwani broke to him that, like, he might be fighting Chael Sonnen. And he's like, man, are you serious, man? Man, and he was just, like, put off, and he's like, I'm not even gonna lie, you fucked my whole day up with this whole Chael Sonnen shit. And I was just dying laughing because he's like, why do you want someone that's going to hold and hump your legs? I'm tired of finding these leg humpers. And it's true because he's trying to stand and trade. And you got King Mo that just try to like fuck his legs. And you had a lot of fighters really just try to control his legs and hump him and do all that bullshit. And as much as I like the bad guy Chael P. Sonnen, he is one of those guys that will try to do that. So I feel that Rampage needs to get his power off early, get Chael to be kind of hesitant, and make Chael's shots, make him so hesitant and tentative that his shots aren't as good, meaning like his takedown attempts, so they're more stuffable and you could read them more and really use that, kind of piece him up a bit, and then be able to kind of pressure forward with eliminating him going for the takedown because he's kind of more switching into survival mode and panic mode, and just pressure forward. And once you pressure forward and keep it going, and Rampage should have the power and the ability to finish him, especially at that weight class. And what else we got going on, bro? Oh, yeah, so what should happen is that Rampage should get the win. What very well could happen is Chael Sonnen does some Chael Sonnen leg humping shit and then cuts a very cringy promo. So that's what you got for your outcomes with that. Now, what else do we got going on? We got, I saw some shit about Cyborg saying she wants to leave the... Hold up, I gotta plug in my laptop real quick. Saying she wants to leave the... if she needs to be called the best featherweight, she needs to go to Bellator. And it's like, alright, you need to kind of cut that bullshit. Because now it's kind of seeming like Cyborg is being a person where no matter how much you try to work with her and... try to meet her needs while looking out for you too. You know what I mean? And from compromising, and it looks like no matter how much you compromise with her, she's not down with it. And it's not going to satisfy her. Because when she came in, she's like, oh, I can't be cutting this weight or doing this catchweight shit. I need the UFC to make it my division. When they wanted to make her her division and offer the title, she popped hot and then had all that shit happen. And then when she comes back, she got her title. She's UFC champion. And then they give her Holly Holm, which is the biggest fight you could possibly make. And she's complaining. She's complaining that division hasn't been built yet, but you got to like give it like 5-6 months, and then you would have been good. They would have did an Ultimate Fighter season. Wait till that cycle. Wait till that Ultimate Fighter cycle. You would have been next. They're like running low on ideas. They need shit like that. So for her to come out say this, and we already know she has she's Scott Coker's chick. So it's like. You're not making it easier for you. And the thing is, yeah, the UFC said fucked up shit. Yeah, the relationship is damaged and like fucked up shit happened. But on the flip side, the UFC has been trying to give her a bit more respect and give her headlining pay-per-views, top spots, points on shit. You know what I mean? And good fights. Give her the marketing, give her kind of play her up a bit about her abilities. And for, you know what, I'm gonna look for that article real quick and I'm gonna read what she said about her trying to go to Bellator or some bullshit, or like she needs to go to Bellator maybe because they have a division there or something like that. But it's like, it's fucking stupid, bruh. Give me 1 sec. Yeah. So she said, to be the real champ, I have to go to Bellator. If you think... hold on, here we go. The belt, 145 pounds. 1 year they have the belt. But you don't see any girls fighting at 145 pounds in the division. Just to see girls fight for the belt, 145. They know I want to do this for me. They say, we don't have the girls. They have girls. Bellator is signing girls 145 pounds every week. Every week, girls are going to sign with Bellator. Yeah, I'm going to stop. Bellator make my division very strong. Going to be big division. My division in Bellator. This makes me sad because I'm in the UC, but I don't have all the girls to fight. I can do super fight, but my goal is to make the division grow. I have 3 fights left, and then I'm going to be where I have to be. Is this a negotiation tactic? Because it'd be pretty smart to posture and put a little pressure on their neck, you know, bring the division here, or I have no problem going to where there is a division. Now, the UFC kind of doesn't really the UFC already kind of invested millions into her, putting her on all big platforms and elevating her to a different level. So it would be a loss in investment. Not only that, but it would be profitable to their competitor if they let her go. But also, they kind of let their ego play into shit, and they're like, all right, if you want to play with that bullshit, fuck you, go there. We don't give a fuck. We'll bite the bullet. We'll take the loss. So that's the thing about that. So, I mean, you very well could see Chris Cyborg back in pretty much back in Bellator because it's Scott Coker, and which would kind of go back and add to more like a Strike Force feel. So that's like... But I mean, I could get it, but they're compromised well with her, and did a lot with her. So I'll start talking about Uriah Hall. We know he pulled out because of weight cutting, and here's what he had to say about it. He said, I know there's a lot of miscommunication of what's going on. People think I punked out. I definitely want to apologize to Vitor in his camp. I know it sucks to go through all that and then not fight. I've been there, man. But for the record, I did make weight. I just failed to make it to the scale, which sucked. I never had a problem cutting weight, and what happened was I ignored some issues that happened prior. As a fighter, we don't have sick days. I know some of you have sick days. I don't have a sick day. So for me just to show up, and I showed up, but my body just was not showing up with it. I don't really have to get into details. He said, it was a harder cut than normal because the injuries that I had didn't allow me to really cut the weight properly. As much as I neglected my safety and my health, which was the dumbest thing to do, I will never do that again. Your health is important. And then he responded to Dana White's comments, and he said, as far as clearing up the air with Dana, I heard he said I was partying in LA. What else was I doing? He said, I wasn't taking my training seriously and I wasn't following procedure. There you go, he said. You mean to tell me my entire career, all of a sudden I'm going to party in LA? It's too funny, man. But that's what happens when you don't come out. Like, a lot of speculations. And he said, I was in the hospital, of course. It was probably the most dramatic experience I ever had. I mean, I was in and out of it. I was conscious, but I was unconscious. I knew what was happening, but I was fighting over it. I was punching. I think I had a mini seizure and at the same time a slight heart attack. Oh, hot damn. My kidneys were just not that good. Hall then reiterated that he had every intention of fighting, but it simply wasn't possible. In fact, his doctor told him he could have died. Man, I was so ready to freaking throw down, but you know what? Shit happens. The doctor even said even if I made weight, I probably would have died the next day because my body wasn't having it. I did it for the fans. I did it to get paid. I did it to make sure I showed up. But at the end of the day, man, your life is not worth it. So, yeah, man, that's some serious shit. Especially when it's affecting your organs like that. It's definitely because of the weight cut. Yeah, man, your organs are vital, especially for when you're sick, especially for fighting that sickness. And if you cut weight and play with the system like that, that's like hacking and modding your fucking body when it needs to be running extremely efficiently. It's going to lead to a lot of shit going wrong and shit backfiring and shit shutting down. And that's what essentially happened to him, man. And, you know, they gotta do some shit about this. I'm not going to get on to the subject, but they need to do something about weight cutting, weight classes, and say, fuck that. They should, maybe they should do weight ranges, like hydrated weight ranges, and fuck the dehydration shit, you know what I mean? Just, fuck that, and just change it up. You know, it's not worth this. It's very nonsensical to have people fighting and then have them dehydrating their bodies and their internal organs before they go into combat. When, you know, it's just fucking stupid. We know about that John Jones polygraph test, but I'm not gonna fuck that, man. I'm not talking really anything about John Jones until it officially comes out. That's my guy, you know that. But until any official news, because I'm not gonna speculate, bro. Because the same kind of shit happened, and I remember he's like. We were like, oh, we saw John on a trailer at 205. He's coming back. And when people are asking, they're like, soon. And everyone is expecting, oh, John Jones is going to be coming back soon. And it just was, pretty much a year after that he came back. But, I don't know, man. Fuck all that, bro. But I heard Dustin Poirier versus Justin Gaethje. Why did I say it like that? Justin Gaethje is targeted for a lightweight bout. And that is fucking dope as shit. That's good for Poirier. That's good for Justin. Although I feel that Dustin should be getting Eddie Alvarez, because Dustin was very well winning that fight. And Eddie Alvarez very well should have been disqualified for throwing that illegal knee. And Dustin Poirier should be at that rank spot that Eddie Alvarez is at. But this is also a very good fight. I'm pumped on this. This should be very good. This is another fight of the year contender. Hands down. I'm pumped on this. Poirier versus Gaethje, another fight of the year contender. So let's go. I read that Stevens versus Choi pulled the biggest fight night numbers in almost 2 years. I'll probably get more into that with my guy Dan. Yeah, man. So I feel like that's pretty much it. I mean, I'm trying to think if there's anything else been going on. I feel like I'm missing out on something. I kind of always feel like I'm missing out on something that I want to talk about. Yeah, man, I'm about to wrap this shit up. I appreciate you guys tuning in, listening to another episode. I'm going to be having my Stevens versus Choi post-fight analysis with my guy Dan coming up. I'm going to be having UFC 220 picks and pre-fight breakdown and analysis is coming, and yeah, I think that's about it. I appreciate it, guys. You already know it's Mastermind MMA.